Hey guys, thanks for coming back and joining us here at Salty Ginger Talk. Glad to have you back. So, in today's episode, learn some techniques that'll help us enjoy hard times. So, I think this is a terribly important skill to learn just because life's not always easy, right? So, when you think about it, there are ebbs and flows to your life. When things are good, you enjoy them. It's easy. It's not hard to enjoy good times, right? That's why they're called good times. It's literally in the title. There's a poem in the movie Caddyshack, which is one of my all-time favorite movies. I'd love to tell you that's not true, but it is true. Judge Smales is christening his boat, and he gives a little speech to the crowd that's gathered for the christening of this boat. And the speech goes, "It's easy to grin when your ship comes in and you've got the stock market beat, but the man worthwhile is the man who can smile when his shorts are too tight in the seat." And I think that's a great way to think about it. I get it's a comedy movie, I get it's a slapstick movie. With that said, he nails it. You've got to learn to have a good time even when things are tough. You've got to learn to enjoy your life even when things are tough. Successful people find a way to keep a positive mental attitude when the inevitable hard times hit. You've got to learn how to enjoy those hard times, even revel in those hard times, and think about who you're becoming as a person, how those challenges will make you stronger down the road, and how you're going to fight through those and get to a better spot. And I don't mean survive them. I mean, you got to learn how to enjoy them. You got to learn to, there's a Navy SEAL who wrote a book called Embrace the Suck. And I think that's the right way to think about it. I can tell you that when I was seriously pursuing a baseball career when I was in college, when we were doing conditioning, there were times where I would be sprinting, doing conditioning, and we'd be in a race or it'd be a competition, and I could feel my lungs tighten up. My legs felt like jello and or concrete, however you want to say it. Like it just was hard to take the next step. And I remember thinking, I'm pushing myself this hard. I don't think most of the people that I'm fighting for these jobs for are pushing themselves as hard as I am. And I'm going to wind up in such a better spot because I'm willing to embrace this pain, suffering, and enjoy it. And like I used to enjoy those times where I could feel myself challenging myself and getting stronger. And I think that's the way you want to think about it. One way to think about it too is things are rarely as bad as they seem. You know, we say it a lot on this channel. 100 years from now, we're all going to be dead. Everybody who knows anything about you will be dead. Somebody else will be living in your house. They'll have all your stuff. It'll all be somewhere else. Everything that you're going through, insignificant. Doesn't matter at all. And so when they're happening, you got to learn to have a positive mental attitude and have a good time, even when things are not going your way. It's terribly important. You don't want to spend, let's just assume for a second, let's say 50-50. Half of your lifetimes are going to be good and half of your lifetimes are going to be bad. Do you want, let's say you live to be 80. Do you want 40 years of your life to be miserable and have no fun at all? I don't. I don't want that at all. But I know that 40 of those 80 years, under my hypothesis, are going to be tough. They might suck. But I'm going to find a way to embrace that and to have a good time while it's happening. Keep a positive mental attitude and really focus on enjoying my life, even when things in my life are tough. That's it. So here's some tips, some mental, some physical, to help you reframe your mindset and learn how to have fun, even when the deck seems stacked against you, even when the chips are down, even when the odds are incredibly long. You've got to learn how to enjoy those times, right? There's a saying that says, when death smiles at you, the only thing you can do is smile back. And I think that's a good way to think about it. I had a pretty serious heart surgery, like there's another kind, but mine was in particular pretty serious in March of 23. And as they were wheeling me down the hall, it was odd. I wasn't nervous. I wasn't worried. I was at peace. But as they were wheeling me down the hall to the operating room, I remember thinking, shit, sometimes people don't wake up from this stuff. Like this could be it. And I was oddly at peace with that. And it's, I've had some really shitty stuff happen in my life as well. Some really good stuff happen in my life, but I feel like I've focused on really good things, having a good attitude, making the world a better place in the area in the world in which I exist and the people I come in contact with. And I feel good about it. I think that's a good judgment or a good litmus test to see if you're taking the right approach at life. As I had, a kind of come to Jesus moment there in the hallway, and I was oddly at peace. I was oddly okay, saying, "Hey, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. The room's right there. We're going in and doing this procedure. It took about 6 hours, and I woke up, and here I am." So let's talk about some things you can do to really share or really enjoy your life, even when things are tough, even when times are tough. How do you enjoy hard times? First one's take care of yourself. You got to acknowledge your feelings, both good and bad, and got to trust your own process. So you need to find a way, whatever your way is. Mine is to think the things that I share on this channel. 100 years from now, we'll all be dead. There's lots of people that trade places for me. My problems may seem bad, but there's tons and tons of people that would trade places with me and trade me my problems for their problems. That's my process. So you've got to learn to trust your own process and develop a process that allows you to have a positive mental outlook on things even when they're tough. And it's important to acknowledge when they're tough. You can't lie to yourself. You can't pretend things are great when they're not. But that doesn't mean you can't have a good time while the bad stuff's going on while you're fighting through it. So something to think about from that respect. One way to do that is to focus on past successes, focus on past hard times that you've gotten through, and think about the things that you learned during those hard times. Think about the lessons that you were taught during those hard times. Think about the strength that you built and developed, the resilience that you built and developed during those hard times, and use that as a positive mental note or positive mental outlook to work through and enjoy the times you're having now. So a couple stories that come to mind. I worked for a guy that's multi-billionaire, and he bought his business from his dad. It was not a very big business when he bought it, and he turned it into a $30 billion business. So just, very successful. Now, at the beginning, it was tough. He talked a lot of times about, he had one customer, and on Fridays, he used to go pick up the payment from that customer because he needed it to make payroll on Mondays. The guy's a billionaire now, but he started from there. But he bought the business from his dad. His dad was on a bomber in World War II, and they used to make bombing runs over Europe. And so they would take anti-aircraft fire, and sometimes, bullet holes would come up through the floor of the plane as they were flying these bombing missions. And one day things seemed tough at work, and this guy was lamenting to his father about, how tough it is, and we're really in trouble, and blah, blah, blah. His dad reached over, grabbed a cigarette, lit the cigarette up and looked at him. He said, it could be worse. They could be shooting at us. And it's a great way. He shared that story because he said that really kind of was cold water in my face, like my wake-up call that, hey, I'm making a bigger deal out of this than I need to. I got to keep my wits, find my way through this, and get to a better spot. So focusing on those past successes is a great way to do that. So I love that story because it's the right way, in my opinion. It's the right way to think about what you've got going on in your life. It could always be worse. Next one is practice gratitude. So every day, whether you do it in the morning, whether you do it on a walk at lunch, at work, whether you do it at night before you go to bed, whether you do it sitting around the table with your family, whenever you do it, practice gratitude. Literally say out loud 5 things that you are grateful for. And it can be anything. It's just to refocus on how good you have it. Maybe you're grateful for Wi-Fi because it allows you to stay connected to your family who's far away. Maybe you're grateful for good weather because it allows you to get outside and garden, and you really enjoy gardening, and it's peaceful and serene, and you love that. Maybe you're grateful for a family member and the support that they give you. It doesn't matter what it is. It can be your thing, but pick 5 of them every day and literally say them out loud. Even if you say them to yourself, that's fine, but say them out loud and recognize, hey, these are all things that are great in my life. I know there's hard times, but I know there's other things going on that aren't so great, but I got these great things in my life. It could be a lot worse. It could be a lot worse than it is. Change your perspective. That's another one. Just change your perspective on things. What that means is choose what meaning you give to your experiences. So you can see your situation as a beginning or an end, as a challenge or a lesson, as a hard time or a test, a negative or a positive. I remember in 2017, I was unceremoniously fired from a job. And on that day, the same day I got fired, I remember telling my wife, standing in our dining room, that I know this sucks and it's scary right now, but I'm telling you, we're going to look back in this and this at this, and this is going to be one of our lives. And, now, almost 10 years later, it sure is. It sure is, because it changed my perspective on things. It changed how I thought about the corporate world versus working for myself and building my own thing. And that was an experience that, it sucked when it happened. It was no fun. But it was a great thing in the long run. And I recognized it almost immediately. And I made it a positive experience almost immediately. So you get to choose what you assign value to, what you focus on, what's important, what's not important. And that's up to you. You get to decide how to weight those things in your mind. So change your perspective on things. Look at challenges as tests. Look at tough times as a competition. There's ways you can reframe it that'll make you enjoy it, that'll make you get after it. So think about that. Think about that when times are tough. Change your perspective on things and give value to different things in different ways to kind of rearrange things in your head. Next, avoid negative people. Like, I have a joke when I'm around someone negative. I'll say, you know what the difference is between you and a car battery? Car battery has a positive side. And it's a good way of kind of disarming people, stopping the negative flow, and kind of breaking the tension and easing things up when things are tough. So negative people don't bring much value. Look, you need pessimists in your group, because a pessimist will look at all the things that could go wrong, and you need to be prepared as a leader. You need to be prepared for the things that could go wrong and have some type of a contingency plan in place. In worst case scenario, what do? You should have a running start on that. And pessimists can help you with that. I'm not a pessimist by nature, so I'm always trying to have a pessimist or two on my team, and I give them the floor a lot. I'll ask them, tell me what could go wrong. Tell me what you're worried about. Tell me what you're thinking about. Because I'm not going to think about those things. But I, as a leader, have to have the responsibility to have plans or solutions in place if those things happen, however unlikely they may seem. And sometimes they come to fruition. And it's way better to have a plan in place. With that said, you don't want to be around negative people a lot. They're negative, like it's in the title. So they don't bring a lot of value. They don't change your perspective. They don't practice gratitude. They don't show those things. And you don't want to be around those people much. Some people just have an energy that's equivalent to throwing an anchor to someone who is struggling to swim. And those aren't helpful. Those aren't people you want around, especially in tough times. So decide who they are, not hard to identify, and minimize your time in proximity to them, being around them. Conversely, connect with positive people. So spend time with people who are upbeat and make you feel good to be around them. You all know who they are. I've had lots of people tell me that about me, that they like to be around me. I think the best description I ever heard was a woman I worked with who ran a bakery in a store I ran. And she said, Joe, when the world ends, I want to be around you because I'm certain you'll be one of the people that crawls up out of the rubble. And I loved it. I thought it was a great compliment. Like, I'm a survivor. I'm a scrapper. I'm going to find a way to get back to bright. And it's not always pretty. It's not always easy. I've screwed up tons and tons and tons of things in my life. But I generally have a positive attitude. When I was 13, I played on a really good baseball team with, a lot of people I grew up with. And we were 2 outs away from going to the World Series that year. And we had won, at this point, we had won the state tournament. And we were heading to a divisional tournament. And we were at the batting cages taking batting practice. And one of the players on our team said, we're not going to win this tournament. And I turned on my heel. I'm like, what are you talking about? He said, well, there's really good teams at this tournament. I said, we're a really good team. He said, yeah, but I'm talking about like state champion teams. I said, we're a state champion team. We'd won the Oregon State title at that point. And sure as hell, we went up to the tournament and we drew the odds-on favorite to win the tournament in the first game. We beat them 3-1. We went 5-0 in the tournament and beat that team again in the championship game and won that tournament and advanced to the regionals. But I told everybody on the team, like, if you're not going up there to win this tournament, don't go. Because I'm not going up there to have a good time. I'm not going up there to just have a great experience. We can do all of those things, but I'm up there to win baseball games and win that tournament. And if you don't have that mindset, if you don't think we can win this tournament, we don't need you. I'd rather go with 9 guys that think we can win than 12 guys and 3 of them are doubting Thomases. It's not going to work. So those are the kind of people you want to be around. Positive people. You got to be realistic. You can't deny when things are tough. You can't deny when there's challenges. You can't deny when things aren't going well. But positive people, even in the face of that adversity, find a way to keep a positive mental attitude, find a way to stay upbeat, find a way to uplift the people around them. And those are the kind of people that you want to spend your time with. Another way to go about this is to help others. So there's something about helping other people with things and you don't get a thing back from it. It makes you realize that most people struggle, and it's okay if you're struggling. But it also reframes it and says, you're worse off or they're worse off than you are. You're better off than they are right now. And helping others is actually kind of a selfish thing when you stop and think about it from that perspective. But helping others is a great way to change your outlook to positive, change your mental attitude, and refocus yourself on how good you actually have it, even with the challenges that you have in your life that you're facing right now. On that note, allow yourself to have bad days. It's okay to have a bad day. Everyone has a bad day. I'm certainly not perfect. There's times where I piss and bitch and moan about almost anything. My family jokes that the character Jay on Modern Family was modeled after me. Now my wife and I are close to the same age, but she's super attractive, and Jay's kind of curmudgeonly on the show, but genuinely cares about all the people around him. Genuinely tries to make their lives better. So I kind of take it as a compliment because I can piss and bitch and moan about stuff, but people love to be around me because I have a good time while I piss and bitch and moan about stuff. I've always got a sense of humor about it. I always refocus it in a positive way. I always leave things on a good note or go back and try to clean them up if I don't. And that's the kind of person you want to be around. You want to be around someone and you want to become one of those people so that you can provide that to others. So helping others is a great way to reframe your mental outlook. And it's okay to have a bad day, so don't worry about it. Just turn the page, start the next day with a different mental outlook. Learn something new. Try to learn something new every day. Learning something new kind of rewires your brain. You've got to think differently when you're taking on something new. It's a challenge to you personally. You can make it a competition with yourself. And just set a goal to learn something new every day. It doesn't need to be big. I'm not saying learn Russian or, learn Chinese or learn a new language. I'm saying try to find something that you can learn every day. Doesn't matter what it is. It can be small. It can be something that you're interested in. Maybe you don't know the rules to pickleball and you want to know the rules to pickleball. Maybe you don't know how to crochet and you want to crochet. We live at a time where you can type anything into YouTube or Google and get instructions on how to do it. It's pretty wild for those that grew up in the same generation that I grew up or earlier generations. There's no more going to the library. There's no looking up things. You can literally type it into your search engine on your phone and get the answers to learn something new. Learn something new every day. It'll help change your mental outlook. It'll make things much more positive. It'll make you feel better. And the last one I have, and we talk about this a lot, exercise regularly. And exercise doesn't mean doing an Olympic level workout at a gym. It can be a walk. It can be a bike ride. It can be going for a swim. It can be strolling through your garden or just doing gardening. Do something physical that moves your muscles, that makes you sweat a little bit, that gets your circulatory system and your respiratory system going. That releases endorphins in your body, and endorphins make you happy. So exercising regularly is a great way. It's the most underprescribed medicine in the world. If you exercise regularly, it will help you so much. Now, it doesn't do a whole bunch for weight control, but what it will do as it relates to weight control is give you a positive mental outlook make it easier for you to stick to the plan that you've developed if you're trying to lose weight. Even if you're not trying to lose weight, walking every day. Just get outside, let the sun hit your skin, feel the wind on your face, smell the smells around you. Hopefully you're not in New York City where it's garbage day or something like that. But get out in the woods and smell the woods, smell the grass, smell the leaves, hear the water running in a stream. All of those things are such good therapy, and it's free. Like, it's literally free. It costs you the exercise or the energy it takes to take the walk. So if you exercise regularly, it'll make a huge difference in your life. I guarantee it. So those are some tips to help you learn how to enjoy hard times. You are responsible for your attitude. You are responsible for your approach. There is no they. There is no, they should do something. They should make it better. You need to stand in front of a mirror when you say that and ask yourself, how are you going to make it better? Because you can have a big impact on things right now just with how you approach things and how your mental attitude is towards things. So don't give up that power. Don't lose sight of the fact you have control over how you react to stuff. You might not be able to control what happens to you, but you absolutely have control over how you react to it. I would argue, in fact, that's what I am arguing, is that you got to learn to have a good time even when things suck. So learn to enjoy hard times. Learn to have a good time when you're in hard times, and your life will improve exponentially. Because the hard times are coming. How you react to them is entirely up to you. Hope you find that helpful, guys. Thanks for coming back and joining us again today. Don't forget to head over to our website, saltygingertalk.com. We've got our newsletter published on there. We've got all of our content on there. You can see our other social media links on there. And don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel or content on whatever platform you consume it on. We sure appreciate the support. Hope to see you back next time. Everybody have a great week.